In the cool air of Hong Kong, as twilight began to descend upon the city and the lights of the skyscrapers blazed like scattered jewels, the life of a young singer, whose name echoed throughout Asia, ended suddenly and tragically. Her name was Li Jun, but the world knew her as Teresa Teng, a diva whose voice captivated hearts and whose songs resonated in every corner of China and far beyond. Behind the glitter of fame, behind the charm of her melodies, lurked a shadow of mystery that enveloped her death, an event that still remains a subject of debate and speculation. Just imagine, at the peak of her career, dazzling, with eyes shining with delight, she embodied the dream of millions. Her concerts filled stadiums, her records sold in the millions. She was a symbol of hope and inspiration for many, especially for those who dreamed of escaping the shadows of everyday life. Her impeccable beauty, exquisite outfits, and enchanting voice captivated the hearts of listeners. She was like a bright star, illuminating thousands of destinies with her light. But in her life, there was another side, known only to her closest confidants: vulnerability, fears, and a personal drama hidden behind the facade of impeccable success. Behind the facade of this brilliant life was a delicate, vulnerable soul. She worked tirelessly, but sometimes she grew weary of the attention, the constant pressure. In early May of 1995, Teresa Teng was in Chiang Mai, Thailand. She was relaxing in a luxurious hotel, seeking refuge from the paparazzi and her demanding schedule, trying to find solitude and peace. Tropical gardens surrounded her, the rustle of leaves, a silence broken only by the songs of birds. She hoped for a few peaceful days, but fate had other plans. Far from the bustling world of show business, Teresa planned to spend several tranquil days to regain her strength and enjoy a well-deserved rest. She anticipated the quiet and calm, hoping it would help her find inner harmony. But fate had other plans. On that fateful day, the 8th of May, everything changed. On this day, Teresa felt unwell. She complained of labored breathing and a painful cough, as if something were constricting her chest. Her French boyfriend, Stefan Yule, who never left her side, became alarmed. He immediately called for a doctor, understanding the severity of the situation. But alas, time was ruthlessly working against them. Teresa's condition worsened with every passing minute. The doctors who arrived on the scene bravely fought for her life, desperately trying to bring her back, but all their efforts proved fruitless. Soon, like a bolt from the blue, the tragic news of her death was announced. She was only 42 years old. Initially, the cause of death was declared to be a severe asthma attack. However, the circumstances of this tragedy gave rise to doubts that only grew stronger over time. Too many questions remained unanswered. Too many details failed to form a cohesive picture. Why did the asthma attack, which seemingly could have been quickly relieved, lead to such a tragic outcome? Why at that fateful moment? And what exactly transpired in the final hours of the great singer's life? Delving into this case, we will encounter a labyrinth of conflicting facts, rumors, and theories, as if lost in an endless web. Some claim it was simply a series of unfortunate events, a cruel coincidence. Others suspect something far more sinister, something hidden in the shadows. Among them are conspiracy theorists who always have their own version, sometimes laughable, but occasionally making one ponder. The atmosphere in those days was electric. News agencies broadcasting from Hong Kong and Taiwan interrupted their broadcasts with emergency bulletins dedicated to the sudden death of Teresa Teng. Paparazzi, like vultures, swarmed the hotel, hoping to snatch even a morsel of information, a single photograph that might shed light on the star's final days. Distraught fans flocked to her home, unable to believe what had happened, mourning the loss of their idol. The country plunged into deep mourning. But let's rewind the film, go back to the beginning, to the life of Teresa Teng, to the young girl who would later become an icon for an entire generation. Teresa Teng was born in Taiwan in 1953. She grew up in a military family and showed her extraordinary talent for singing from a very young age. Her voice was truly special, gentle, melodious, capable of touching the most delicate hidden strings of the soul. In the 60s, she began her creative journey, performing in small clubs and at local festivals. Her talent emerged very early, and soon she shone like a rising star. In the 70s of the 20th century, her popularity reached its peak, eclipsing many other performers. Songs about love, the bitterness of loss, and bright hopes resonated within the hearts of millions across Asia. She sang in several languages, from Chinese and Japanese to English. Teresa's concerts transformed into dazzling shows, gathering immense crowds of enthusiastic fans. She became a symbol of a cultural bridge, uniting East and West through her music. But behind the glitz of fame hid a vulnerable soul. Teresa Teng was known for her modesty, shyness, and her desire for solitude. She shied away from publicity, avoided scandals, preferring a quiet life amongst her closest companions, dedicating herself entirely to music. Peace did not reign within the singer's personal life. She knew the sorrow of several unsuccessful romances, faced the constant attention of the press, and the ruthless pressure of the world of show business. Rumors about her health were constantly circulated, growing into new, no less persistent gossip. This weighed heavily on her, intensifying her need for protection and solitude. In the final years of her life, Teresa Teng increasingly spoke of her desire to leave the noisy world of entertainment and dedicate herself to a measured existence. She dreamed of a wedding with Stefan Yule and creating a family, hoping to find happiness, which seemed so fleeting and elusive. But fate decided otherwise, cutting short her dreams. After Teresa's death, the initial conclusion about the cause of her death raised many questions. Death had struck the singer at the age of 42 years. The official cause of the tragedy was listed as asthma, but something about this story seemed strange and alarming. Rumors began to spread that signs of strangulation had been found on the singer's body. It was unclear how serious these marks were and whether they actually indicated a crime, but they instantly gave rise to a mass of gossip and speculation. Stefan Yule, her French lover, was among the first to testify. He spoke of Teresa's final hours, her complaints about difficulty breathing, and the desperate efforts of the doctors to save her. However, his account didn't convince everyone. Some found his behavior strange and suspicious. Perhaps grief was to blame, or perhaps something else, more sinister, lurked beneath the surface. Despite all the questions, the case was soon closed. The cause of death was declared an asthma attack, and that was the end of it. But that period, by no means, brought an end to the disputes. On the contrary, it served as a starting point for new speculations and elaborate theories. What really happened during those fateful days? Was it a sad accident, a fateful twist of chance, or was there something more? something dark and mysterious, hidden behind the sudden death of Teresa Teng. One of the most prevalent and captivating theories spoke of a treacherous conspiracy. Many believed Teresa Teng was a victim of murder, and the reason might be connected to her ties with powerful individuals, her political views, or even the ruthless rivalry that ruled the world of show business. At that time, Chinese show business was a tangled web of intrigue, fierce competition, and backstage games where everyone strived for the top. Artists often faced pressure, blackmail, and even direct threats. Perhaps someone wanted to eliminate Teresa Teng to make way for a new star's ascent, a new idol of millions. Or maybe her demise was due to her political views. There was another version suggesting that Teresa Teng had connections to a secret service. Some even claimed that she carried out secret missions, working for intelligence, and her death might have been a consequence of this activity, a sudden end to a spy game. But it all remained mere speculation, ghostly theories, unsupported by a single piece of solid evidence. Nothing could confirm any of these versions. The investigation into Teresa Teng's death was conducted very superficially. No attempt was made to thoroughly analyze all the circumstances. Not enough witnesses were questioned, nor were all possible scenarios examined. Perhaps it was due to a lack of experience among the Thai investigators, or perhaps someone deliberately sought to conceal the truth, buried under a mass of conjecture and silence. Days, weeks, and months passed, and the questions, like an echo, continued to resound in the air, never receiving answers. For a long time, the case remained forgotten, and the hope of establishing the truth dwindled like smoke. But then, after years, fate turned its face again to this story. Thanks to new technologies and the opening of access to previously classified archives, new details began to surface, potentially shedding light on this tragic story. In the early 2000s, journalists and investigators began to delve deeper, seeking the truth. They pored over old reports and conducted interviews with witnesses, attempting to piece together the puzzle. One of the most crucial discoveries was the testimony of a hotel maid. She claimed to have heard heart-wrenching screams emanating from Teresa Teng's room several hours before her death. Sadly, her words were disregarded during the initial investigation. Why? Perhaps the investigators deemed them unimportant or simply wished to avoid additional complications. But now this testimony raised numerous questions, forcing them to consider what truly happened on that fateful day. The journalists unearthed another detail. Besides Teresa Teng and Stefan Yule, there was another person present in the hotel room, a man whom no one had ever heard of and no one had ever seen. Who was he? What was he doing in her room? This new information, like a stone cast into water, created a wave of fresh investigations and arguments. New examinations were conducted, new witnesses were questioned, and new theories were proposed. But the truth remained hidden in the shadows. Teresa Teng's family never lost hope of discovering the truth about their daughter's death. They hired private detectives who continued the investigation, spending months and years searching for even a single clue. They appealed to the authorities, demanding a new investigation, hoping that with time, justice would prevail and everything would fall into place. But all their efforts were met with a blank wall. Time relentlessly marched forward, but the truth remained elusive. Teresa Teng's case became one of the most mysterious and sorrowful episodes in the history of Chinese show business. What lay hidden behind the veil of her death. Many believed the truth would remain unfathomable. Too many years had passed. Too many pieces of evidence were irretrievably lost. And yet, even if we were never meant to know the true cause of Teresa Teng's passing, her music and her legacy would live forever. Teresa Teng's songs still played on radio stations around the world. Her voice, full of tenderness and strength, continued to touch the hearts of millions. She remained an icon for an entire generation, a bright star shining through time, forever etched in the hearts of listeners. She was a singer whose music united the hearts of millions, a woman whose life embodied the struggle for a dream. And she will forever remain in our memory as a great artist whose life was cut short too early in the prime of her talent. The story of Teresa Teng's death is a tragedy, a mystery, a loss. It's the story of a person who left an indelible mark on the history of music. It's a story of how death can transform a legend into eternity, forever etching a name in the hearts of fans. In a world where the glitter of fame and fortune often overshadows many values, Teresa Teng's story reminds us of the fragility of human life and how important it is to stay true to oneself and one's ideals. It provides an understanding that even the brightest stars, seemingly shining forever, can extinguish in the blink of an eye, leaving only memories and sorrow behind. But what really happened on that fateful night? Was Teresa Teng a victim of a tragic accident, a monstrous murder, or something else that will forever remain a secret? The answer to that question may forever remain hidden in the depths of the past, a silent witness guarding its grim enigma. So what can we learn from this story, from this tragic series of events? First, we must remember the enduring importance of taking care of our own health. Don't ignore your body's signals. Seek help in time when you feel unwell, when something troubles your soul. Secondly, let us cherish those around us. Treasure every moment of our lives, for no one knows what tomorrow will bring. In conclusion, the case of Teresa Teng's death remains one of the most mysterious and sorrowful episodes in the history of Chinese show business. This story seems to remind us of the fragility of human life, the importance of truth, and that even the brightest stars can fade in the blink of an eye. And perhaps this is precisely what makes her story so captivating and at the same time so sad. We will remember Teresa not only as a great singer, but also as a woman who always fought for truth and justice, regardless of difficulties. And although the truth about her death may forever remain hidden, her music will continue to live in the hearts of millions of people around the world, bringing them joy and comfort. Ending this narrative, let's ask ourselves an important question. What do we really know about Teresa Teng's death? We know that her death was tragic, cutting short the life of a great singer. We remember her voice, filling hearts with delight, her performances, gathering thousands of fans. But the true story of her departure will forever remain shrouded in mystery. What truly happened on that fateful day continues to be a riddle. Perhaps we will never manage to solve it. However, that doesn't mean we should cease our pursuit of truth, fall silent, and forget. It is precisely questions that compel us to analyze, to contemplate, to seek answers, and to relentlessly strive for the truth. And who knows, perhaps someday the veil of secrecy will be lifted, and the truth will finally shine for us with its bright light.